in our experience, angels were more proactive. Some of them reach out and, hey, like I talked to someone because it's much easier to close the second check than the first one because everyone was like, is it only only the one who invests? If everything doesn't work, I failed to build a company, I failed to build another one. Like, what is the worst case scenario?
Just to get started, me and Agam have been doing this podcast for a long time, and we've been doing a lot of, I would say, fintech people, so people in the
Mm-hmm.
finance space or the AI space. I've been following you for a while, and I actually really like your blog posts, and I think they're really just insightful and thoughtful, and
Thank you.
you a lot of it is on LinkedIn, so I think you're really just giving a lot of it like value to a lot of people out there. How many times did you apply to YC and why? Like, why did you do that?
So we applied like 3 times, and this one was third. Actually, it was my first time, right? But the first time I applied, I was like a student, like first, I guess, like first year of my university, and I applied with some other folks. I even forgot, I forgot about it actually. So I would say it's like three attempts in the last 2 years that we did like one after another and like the next one after those. So it's like three in a row. And we were invited for interviews every time actually. And but we didn't pass. We didn't pass any of it except the last time.
Okay, so you applied 3 times and you
Yeah.
got 3 interviews.
Yeah.
That's a really good ratio. So something was there that they really what why would they interview you 3 times and not
I think, I mean, like, I kind of know already the answer, right? Because I just asked Tom, like, Tom, why did you decided to, Tom Blomfield, why did you decide to invest in us? And he said, like, you just look like good founders. So basically, the thing is, like, that is pretty clear, I guess, after when you finish YC, they don't really invest in your idea. I mean, partially, like 20%, maybe 10, but 89% is like your team, And I think that from that perspective, we were like doing sport programming, different competitions, won different prizes. Like in my school, I had like the first place in this Olympiads in Ukraine. And then have done a bunch of internships at Google, Lyft, NVIDIA, working on machine learning. We already started like previous project before, like previous startup. So we've done different things. And I think it was just kind of like, like strong profile. Even like if you open like my LinkedIn, you see the experience. Yes, it's like obviously it's internships, right? It's not like full-time job, but you still see that, okay, it looks like these people trying to push harder, and achieve something. I guess that's kind of signal.
all the same partner? So every time you
Oh no, actually, I don't even remember. So I guess second and third interview we had Tom, but I'm not sure about. Yeah, I guess first interview we got was Dalton. But obviously idea was the thing is like the first time we applied, it was like every time we applied, it was like a new idea. uh, And the first time we applied, we were pitching like kind of like Google for networking. So basically, and but then I haven't realized that idea we were pitching had like really, really small market, like super small. And they actually asked us like, do you think that you want to go there? And I think maybe if the first time we said, actually we have some cool ideas in the backlog where like we can consider, maybe we will get. But I mean, like because I was like, I do remember this interview. Like right now, it's obvious that they will cancel us because like our market was like 10 million per year, something like that, like super niche. You know, uh, maybe we should like rephrase what exactly we're doing and make it like look bigger, whatever. But yeah, we didn't do that back then.
that didn't discourage you. You weren't like we give up, we're not going to apply to YC.
No, the thing is like, oh, like why do you want to not apply next time? Like, what is the reason?
I don't I'm asking you because
Yeah.
so many founders say I applied once. I literally spoke to one yesterday. He's like,
Uh,
I applied once and it was 10 years ago.
all right. Okay. But
And I'm like,
do
why are you?
do,
Yeah.
do they still like building like own project or they just work with someone else?
Um, Everybody is different. Like every person that I talk to that gives up on the application process is
Hmm.
different.
So in
But
our
you were
case,
your mindset is very different than theirs, I guess. That's what I'm saying. So
I guess in our like I see the situation in the following way. So kind of like we definitely understand that we want to build something like new and build something like own, basically build a startup, building company, and we will still do it. Doesn't matter. It's like in YC, without YC, with an investor, without investors, like bootstrap, not bootstrap. So we will find our way. And you just like you see the in this way the whole game basically. And we were applying not only in YC. Like last time we applied in 40 different accelerators. I've been in Europe. We're trying to fundraise in Europe before YC, and I know how hard it is in comparison with like fundraising after YC. So it's like completely different story. And yeah, we got interviews in different accelerators, and we just look at this like it, this it makes sense to make this attempt. If we fail, doesn't matter. It's like one of the bad. And in our case, we got into SC and it was like, cool, it makes sense to go there. We'll get funding, we'll get a nice community, we'll get some like, recognition and connection with investors and so on.
so you did that second application and they said no again. It sounds like
Oh,
Tom.
like second application was like the second application was literally funny because like we applied with one end of idea, and then we decided that we will not go there. We didn't expect to get invitation for interview, and then we received like, "Hey, you invited for interview," and we kind of like, "Fuck," we give up on that idea, and we're actually thinking like what to do, and like what idea to build next, and we basically spend like a night coming up with a new idea we want to like apply with, and it was like not like nonsense, but obviously if you spend like 24 hours working on a new idea, you don't know much about it. And I guess that's why it was like real weird because like Tom was like, hey guys, we've seen that you updated like application like 8 hours ago. What happened? And we mainly shared like why we decided to switch an idea, why we decided not to go there. But we didn't have anything specific and concrete that we suggest to build next. So that's why I think they decided not to go with us the second time.
And then you applied again.
Yeah, and actually, like after we get like this refusal, I guess like in a few weeks we started working on Fluently, and we were just working on it and working, and then we applied again. Yes, I would say like if we failed it, we would apply it again too.
Interesting. But I guess like you applied to so many accelerators. So you have on one of your slides
Mm-hmm.
Y Combinator is the top accelerator, then Entrepreneurs First is the second, then Park Commons is a third, Antler
Oh no, we applied
Globalist.
in many of them. Yeah, we got like it's like in many of them we received like we didn't receive an invitation for interview. In some of them we received interview like invitation for first interview. In some of them we passed the first interview, get the second one. In some cases we passed second and then it was a refusal later when we failed the second interview. So it was basically like a funnel. The same thing I've done during my years in university. Like I was applying like and 50 different places for internship, half of them haven't even responded me anything. And I got like 10 interview process started and I got like 7 offers out of 10 processes. So it's kind of like the same funnel here with accelerators, with funds and so on.
Oh, I see. So Y Combinator's like once they get you in the interview, that's your one chance to make it or break it with them most of the time. I mean, maybe sometimes they'll do another second interview, but it sounds like some of the other accelerators are more
Oh
arduous.
yeah. There are like some accelerators that have like 2, 3 calls actually. You have like screening, then you have the first call. If they like you have like a second call. So it's like more complicated process.
So you felt like YC was quickest, like in a quick, good way.
Uh, there are many accelerators who have only one call, but there are also who have like 2 or 3 calls. Yeah. We're seeing this turn like kind of fast. Yeah, because you have like 15 minutes call. But it's not always the case. I didn't know it, but some founders have really different experience during the interview process. Someone had like actually 1 hour call. Some of people have like actually a few calls by 1 hour. So it's like, there is no, I would say, like strict rules. So sometimes there are some outliers. I guess if we see that like we really like this team, but for some reason we don't believe in their idea, let's maybe try to challenge them or maybe push them. Maybe they should change their idea and talk with them like a week later. So I've heard the stories. It's also
Did
fun.
did they do that to you? Did they push you that
No,
way?
no, 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 no. It's
Yeah.
not in our case, but like I talked obviously to different founders, OIC founders, and some of them had this experience.
What did they do on the call? Did they switch their idea or did they like
So the goal, the thing was like one of the startup. I just don't know, like, is it okay to name the name?
you don't
But
have to. You don't have to.
yeah,
That
yeah.
it
So
may not
the
want to be
thing
on.
was like they have a call, and with one of the partner, and partner said like, hey, I know this space. There is no money there, but you're really nice folks. I have like let's explore another like field with the same idea, like just move a little bit in different direction. You have like a week to make research and let's have a talk, a call week later. And they have this call, and after that they actually got accepted.
Oh,
And
got it.
moreover, they're folks from our batch, and they are one of the, I think, most famous company in our batch. Let's say it does not really correlate like with long, I think, term success, but they're doing good.
It's hard to tell who the most famous in the batch is because it's such a big batch. They're so
Yeah,
big.
it's
So
also true. Yeah, yeah. I think
yeah.
like I'm kind of like in my own bubble inside
Yeah.
YC. So
Yeah. It's really hard to say who's gonna be the best, biggest company. It's honestly,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you never know, honestly.
But I
Uh
didn't know that such cases, exist at all. I thought like everyone has this like 10 to 15 minute call and that's it. So, but it's not always the case. That was surprising to me.
I was going through your LinkedIn as well, and I saw your post 6 days ago. You talked about like your over the last 10 years, you have like internship applications, you have job offers, you have multiple startups and getting into YC. One thing which I see in all of those is like you have been persistent about like, okay, I want to crack this, I will do it, move fast. So how do you make yourself believe in being persistent on ideas or whatever you want to pursue? We went to Google as well. You cracked through Google, which is also a big thing. Just want to know your experience from like working for someone and also building up a startup and moving through all of these years and how you take it.
Me personally, I think like I have the three things, I guess. Like I really like creating something new. It's not only actually building, it can be like anything, like like art, cooking, doesn't matter. Like if something there is nothing and something appears, I think it's like really beautiful. That's cool. Another thing is I guess is I really like I'm kind of like nerd. I like technical thing, math, physics, and so on. And also third one, for some reason I have like some ambitious. So I really like to if you do something to do it really great, if you do something to make it large and so on. So if you take intersection of all of this, it's kind of looks like you should build a company. And for me, it was in the way that I plan to go and work for the company for Lyft actually here in California. But COVID happened. So it just happened. So my plan was to go here, work for a company, and then switch to building startup. But it just happened the way that, COVID had and like I needed like another plan. And it just happened that I started building startup just earlier, earlier than I expected.
Yeah, that's really awesome, and I love that about your journey, and it's great. And like just to know from you, like all this years you have been working for on multiple things, multiple startups. Uh, how do you just go through your ideas? Like I'm sure you must be having like a lot of ideas. I can do this. How do you prioritize on it, or how do you find your
You mean like
co-founders? How do you
idea
motivate them?
the thing is like with co-founder, like my co-founder Stan, I guess we just get lucky and kind of like take this for granted because I see many people struggling to find co-founder because it happened to be hard, to find someone you can work with, especially when you have like some hard situation, like problems in the startup. I guess, yeah, I've seen people who like, in 6 months they change like three co-founder or something like that. It's like crazy. And in our case, it just happened that we're classmates and we know each other for like 11, 10 years. And we've done lots of things together. And that's kind of like, I guess we are lucky in this term that we like have each other. In terms of like ideas, I don't think that I have many good ideas in terms of like every time you pick some idea, and if you do a little bit of research, I guess many of them, at least in my head, kind of like it's easy to cancel them because like, oh, for some reason, because like you don't have any competitive advantage here, or there are so many different competitors who do the same thing. So it just happened like with Fluently, for example, it happened accidentally in terms of like I was trying to find such product for myself just because I have English calls. I want to improve, like English further and a native speaker. And I was surprised that there is no product like that. There are some products kind of trying to close this problem, but not really. And that's how we eventually just started kind of like, okay, let's build like a landing page and see whether people will add their email to waiting list just to see, if there are any interest. And then we start talking to people. Then we started like charging before we had the first version of the product. So it happened like really naturally. So that's how we actually got here where we are.
You had posted that deck online. I'll just share. Let me see if I could share my screen a second so you can see it. But you had posted on LinkedIn this deck.
Yeah, yeah, that
It's a
one.
lot of pages, and like
I mean,
maybe
actually, it's like the original one is like I guess even longer. I mean, like definitely longer. Maybe not twice, but longer. I decided to take the most concise, important information to put in the deck, and also leave something in case if I decided to organize maybe like kind of like webinar like fundraising webinar and share like more details. Yeah, but yeah, it's lots of pages.
I mean, what would you say was like the most successful strategies for the batch or the founders that you know? Like the one I have is 44 pages. It's like a lot of information, very condensed, but like I guess like you guys went through YC. It seems like you were very thoughtful in like the fundraising process.
Actually, I'm not sure about that.
Mm,
Maybe it looks like that right now, but
mm.
I think first of all, it's like YC taught us a lot, right? So it's like basically before YC, we were doing fundraising uh, much worse. I'm not sure that we're doing fundraising great right now. It's just like the thing was like after YC, YC told us a lot, and I had like an idea like I want to actually combine everything together just to understand kind of like what I actually learned from the whole experience, not only during YC and after YC, and but actually before the YC because I was trying to fundraise before, and I've done different things that YC will say like never do it. For example, like cold outreach or something like that. And because I work like a little bit with European investors, I also know how it's different from US, right? So I have like more wide view, I would say, and that's why it was interesting. Okay, what if we like combine everything together in like one deck to condense all information that I know? I saw some founders who were really great in fundraising, so they kind of like, hey, we go only with huge firms, big firms, large checks, and so on. In our case, it worked like more on the other side when we decided like we don't need a lot of money so far, and let's just like basically close check by check. And after that, when we closed like half around, like, okay, we have so many leads, let's actually extend our round. So in our case, we raised 1 mil on one valuation, and then we raised another one on higher valuation. So it's like some people do it like in different way.
For you, did you raise a lot of small checks or you don't have to answer this, or one big check, or like I guess a lot of founders are confused by that because they think, oh, I just started a company. I need to get $2 million and I need to get one check. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's in my head,
No,
that's wrong thinking, but
in
maybe
our
you can
case,
talk through it.
no, in
Yeah.
our case, we don't like what I told us like it doesn't really matter because like it's safe. It's really easy to assign. I mean, like if you're not concerned with the investor, I mean, like if a good investor, you will not have any problem with them. Like you can sign any amount you want, right? Even if you have like huge network of like kind of like fund like investors, friends who can actually invest 5, 10K, that's a good start because like you can bootstrap your like initial round. And I mean, like the worst case, like you don't look like round no one wants to invest in, right? Because it's much easier to close a second check than the first one because everyone's like, is it only I'm only the one who invests because no one wants to be a loser, kind of, who will invest like no one else will invest. It just feels bad, right? Or even if I invest right now, but what if the company will not fundraise, will not close the round, and they will close? Like I will lose my money. It's also risky, and so on. So in our case, we had I don't remember like numbers, but we do have many small checks like 50K, 20K, but and also we have like larger, much larger checks like 500K, 200K, and so on. Yeah, we were not focusing on the size specifically. We didn't have any like criteria. But also this approach also has drawbacks because, for example, when we were fundraising the first million, and you talk to someone who actually invests usually like 1 mil plus, and there is always not enough allocation for them. So that's another drawback. Yeah, so you should also consider what approach better suits to you.
And in that deck, I mean, you have so much content. What do you remember? Like, what slide sticks out to you from your deck? I don't know if you remember the whole deck, but
No, the thing is like, I mean, like the thing is like the momentum is really important. So everything moves fast. So you close checks, send updates to people who like decided like who thinking we need time to to evaluate your startup. And so momentum, that's what the program right says. Like momentum is crucial. That's obviously true. Second thing is like, yeah, you better have like more leads in your funnel. So basically, because like, yeah, obviously, someone will not be interested. Someone will have, I don't know, like vacation, whatever. The whole deck is actually, it's not so many information there. It's just like we're trying to add as more details as possible to understand this high level concepts, like what does it mean actually to have like this cool momentum, and how to answer like emails and so on. So it's like more technical, a lot of small technical details, I'll say. But another thing is, I guess, like to get, yeah, as I said, like to get many leads is crucial. And I think that's like 80% of the whole job because it's actually really hard. In our case, it was easy because like we've finished YC, right? You have so many investors who want to invest. So it's much, much easier. But if you're a founder building outside of YC, that's the main job actually, to find warm interests. And also when you find them, to actually have schedule calls with everyone in the short period of time to actually have this momentum. Because otherwise, what I've done like before when it was fundraising in Europe, it's like I saw that I would contact like 10 my friends, founders. Every founder will make like 5 warm interests, and we'll have like 50 investors to talk to. I probably will close easily with 50 calls. But you can talk to someone, hey bro, can you actually make some warm interests? They have only a few investors. They didn't talk with some of them for a year, so they don't feel comfortable to make an intro. And so you end up, like with 20 leads instead of 50. And some of them will not respond for a few weeks. Someone is on vacation. So you ended up only with 10. And not in 1 week, but like, in a month. And that's not a momentum. That's not good momentum.
Just want to know, like, as a rookie and someone who wants to aspire to start a company, maybe in tech, maybe not in tech, what are your key points to take care or where to start from?
What do you mean? Like, the question is like, how to understand whether you want to start a company or what?
Yeah, it could be like, someone who's trying to decide, like, getting out of the job and starting a company, or else why not about just getting out of the college and trying to have a startup.
So I don't know the answer, but I don't remember who said this. Like, if you are not sure that you should start a company, probably you shouldn't. So I think that someone who actually really wants, they will definitely will get into it, like maybe now, maybe later, but they will just naturally lean to this. So I don't have actually like any answers here because I wasn't. So my picture is the following: like if everything doesn't work, I failed to build a company, I failed to build another one. Like, what is the worst case scenario? In my opinion, worst case scenario, I will find a job. I mean, it's really hard to die actually in the modern world, because I mean, like if you have you know hands, if you have brain, you'll be fine. So, and in these terms, I mean, like obviously everyone says like, hey, startup is a risk. It definitely is, right? In terms of like, I guess, lots of stress and so on. But objectively, I mean, like if you don't risk with your life, like real war as an example, it's not really actually risk, because you always can find a job and you will be fine.
All right. Yeah, yeah, that's a great way to see it. And I believe like, giving it a try is always a thing. Like, if you're just thinking about it or just try like
Actually,
just deciding.
I don't know how companies see it when they hire people, but I also think that first of all, when you do like something on your own, you will probably learn a lot. And I think that if you want to hire someone like with a really great experience, you will probably it's definitely a positive experience, I think. Like if someone tried to build something on their own and done lots of different things, I think like it's actually like a bonus.
So one of your slides, just going back to your slides, good seed investors do not ask for financial projections. They do not expect you to have revenue. Now, a lot
Yeah.
of founders I talk to say, I haven't built anything yet, or I have nothing, or, there's a lot of, I can't do anything because I haven't done anything yet. Like, what is your mindset when you were doing it? Like, what was your whole process? Because you applied to YC with Fluently. It sounds like you had a product, I guess, right? Or
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
a
yeah. In
product.
our case, we even have like small revenue. We have like MVP. So actually, after the interview, Tom asked me to send like a link to the product. So he played with the product, he tested, he liked it, and we got accepted. So maybe I can imagine if I send the link to the product and it was, I mean, like obviously when I send the link, I was like, oh shit, they will see it. It's like it's really bad. But I think they do understand that on this early stage, it's fine to have like pretty shitty product, At least it's kind of like a proof that, okay, these guys can actually build something. It's definitely good. I'm actually surprised in terms of like, so back to your like question. The thing is like in Europe, it will be extremely hard to raise any money, like even like with product, but without like a revenue. Everyone wants to have you 10K MRR or 50K MRR. It's like it's really different. So it's not the way like proceed, in US when you can have like, oh, nice folks from Stanford, they have nice idea. I will give them some money. Like, oh, it's really rare. It doesn't happen often in Europe. At least like I haven't seen that. So it's like a little bit different. And when we see that, for example, oh no, don't do cold outreach because it's like you're definitely not in a strong position here when you do cold outreach. But there are not so many options when you're in Europe, and like if you have like really early attraction, that's probably the reason why lots of folks coming here to US because it's like much easier. People actually used to invest in some companies on the very early stage and also when they don't have like revenue. And also, I guess here you can find like 100K check, which is huge for Europe. And here you can find someone like individual, basically one person who can invest 100K, and basically that's already like kind of a good start. I mean, like you will survive for some time with this check.
So you're in the US. It sounds like you made the move for
Oh
YC. Was
yeah,
it
I'm in a SF. Yeah, I got like my O1 visa after WC. Yeah, and right now I'm working here.
got okay? So YC, you got into YC and you flew here, and then you decided I need to stay here. Is that what you were thinking was?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, like my plan initially, I was planning to stay and work here way before WC, but WC was like nice trigger event. So we have like a reason to be here, and it makes sense because we have so many founders. There are actually surprised how many founders actually wanted to go to New York, but they ended up being here in SF. And also YC pushes everyone to actually stay here, because like ecosystem is like wild in a good sense here, because like when you have so many people, so dense ecosystem, like you have so many even random interactions with each other, so you have like lots of chances. Basically, you're generating your luck here.
Okay, so you're saying like post YC, it's a really good place to be for a founder, like San Francisco area, like it really has support systems, I guess, or
Yeah, I guess it's like everything together. So like YC said, there's like two x higher chances to be unicorn if you stay in SF after YC. Obviously, like it's not so it's basically correlation, right? But I think it might be true in terms of like you just have so many folks here, you communicate with them, they're solving similar issues. Someone can like, oh, like I know the problem you're dealing with, or I know someone else who can help you with that. So I guess when you have like really dense environment with so many right folks, it just more likely that you will succeed. That's an idea.
Yeah, I would like to move towards Fluently. Just want to
Mm-hmm.
know overview of your product. What do you do? What kind of market you cater?
So one idea was that like, okay, if you're someone who actually already have calls in English, you're a non-native speaker, so apps like Duolingo don't really work for you, because like it's just like some random lessons on basic stuff. You don't really need this, and you want to get something more personalized. So one of the options you have is tutor. It might be expensive, but the main problem with that is that many people find it not interesting, and also that they don't have time because they're busy professionals mainly, and you just don't receive feedback on what actually happens when you talk to your colleagues, when you pitch to your boss, and so on. And that's why we wanted to build like a tutor coach that will actually listen your real calls, your real conversation. Example, Fluently like listening my call right now, so I'll get feedback on this podcast and listen like and see like where I do mistakes, where it can improve. And right now you receive the feedback of the call, so you can work on that. But right now we're a little bit changing our product, so we will mainly kind of like daily practice based on your real calls.
Got it. So it's not like a lessons thing. It just
No,
improvises your
yeah, as an example, I mean, like,
speaking.
yeah, as an example, many non-native speakers like overuse some very simple words, again and again and again, and there are so many different alternatives they can use to sound more natural and more native. Or sometimes you say like, you're like, mainly if you're like if I'm Ukrainian, I often build sentences in my head, like in my mother language, and then you translate them in English. And sometimes like people kind of understand what you mean, but native will never say like that, right? And like fluently can say potentially like, hey, that's a better phrasing for this, and so on. So specifically on your speech, not some like random thing. That's why, as an example, that's why I started posting like on LinkedIn, because we think that on LinkedIn we have many folks who are actually non-native speakers, non-native founders, engineers, product managers, who have this 70-80% of the English right, but they still have like room of improvement. And the most important, they want to improve.
so it sounds like it records it, and then is it AI that gives you the feedback, or is it a person like
Oh no, there is no person at all. Yeah, that's basically set of different AI models. Some of them like kind of GPT wrappers, some of them are just like trained on our data set and so on. So it's like a bunch of different models that analyze speech and return the feedback.
okay, so you get a report like right after on it.
Right now it's like after the call, because we don't want it to distract the person from the call, obviously, because like you're doing your presentation, you don't want like someone like interrupting you during the call, except maybe slightly some small things, kind of like you should speak slower or something like that, because like it's really hard to you don't want to distract people.
I guess you're different than Grammarly. You're very different than Grammarly. You're very different than like a tutor.
Ideally, like we want to like build something like imagine that you have like a real coach always listening to you, and like after each call, like or in the end of the day, suggesting you, hey, actually there is a way you can like boost your skills, and here is like a set of different practice for 5 minutes, but daily, that you can work with and improve. Yeah, so Grammarly is more focusing like on solving that you right now want to send mail and you don't want to lose it, you want to fix these issues. We more on the side of like, education, productivity. So when you work with your feedback and you improve over time, because unfortunately, if you do nothing, there is no way you can improve.
Is there any provision for like to track what's the progress is like, or how do you get a feedback on whatever you have learned from a previous call and you have used it? So is it like notifies you that okay, you have improved in this part?
Yeah.
Like
So
how's the
far,
feedback look like?
so far, it's like mainly like feedback on pronunciation. So you can see phrases that you said, some words, and score that. You can train and see that you actually fix it and improved. And you see the feedback on vocabulary. So if you overuse some words, you see alternatives. It's also feedback on the grammar, where you see grammar mistakes that you made and so on. So we kind of like provide a score, like Fluently score, and also some sub scores, kind of like your grammar score, your pronunciation score, your vocabulary score, and so on. And you just can track all these parameters. But right now it's pretty basic, so we're still very early on the like product side. Because ideally, what we want to do is you'll have a call, Fluently see, analyze your speech and see that you do some like mistakes and you can fix them. Later, you will receive like daily practice where you will see this mistake and you will work with that and you will understand how to improve it. And next time, when you actually improve it on your real call next time, Fluently will notice that and will show you, hey, you actually improved that. Nice job. And that's where basically the loop is closed. I can see that, oh, Fluently discovered, Fluently like gave me some task to work on it. I worked and improved, and like I got this clarification. Hey, you actually improved on that. That's like what we're heading to.
I think you're a layer above Duolingo. It's like, for the basics, when you want to start to learn a language, you can start with Duolingo, but when you want to practice speaking English or in your
Yeah,
day-to-day,
exactly.
you want a
We
coach.
we are focusing. Yeah, we are mainly focusing on people who already like B2, B1, B2, maybe higher in terms of like a language level. And Duolingo doesn't really work for them. Duolingo is probably a good start if you're just like a new person, like new to the language. For example, I was training like Spanish basics with Duolingo, right? But yeah, we kind of like competitors with real tutors outside, but not specifically competitors because like some people actually have calls with real tutors, but they also use Fluently, so they get additional feedback on these calls.
Will we get to a point where you don't need to know another language because AI will translate for you? Will that ever
Right,
happen?
right, right. I don't think so, actually. I think someone
Yeah.
will use it, but the problem with that is in some languages, you cannot translate until you know the end of the sentences. So, as an example, those players are really hard to do this with. And also, I think it's always be probably like in-person communication and kind of like cultural fit. So I think people like will still learn English, despite that some people will definitely use this, like specifically, I guess, like all people who like definitely not going to start studying like new language, they can use this technology perfectly. I mean, at some point, ideally, maybe like something like neural link, when you actually, I don't need any language, I just communicating like with ideas between brains using neural link, that will be obviously awesome. There is no like language thing, probably. But I think, yeah, it will not, I don't believe that it will just disappear.
So there'll always be like a need to
I
learn
mean,
language.
like we're humans and we probably will hang out with each other. And the most important conversation usually happens in person, And I think you feel more connection if you're like speak the same languages, the same
Yeah.
language, and you have something in common. So I don't think so. I mean, maybe in 10 years, maybe, but I don't think so. So I think like every technology, including this real-time translation, it's just a little bit different. I think they will probably exist like together.
Switching gears again. LinkedIn, you post so much on LinkedIn. What was your favorite post and then most people responding to a post? Like, what would you say those two were?
My favorite,
Yeah.
probably favorite actually is like this one was DAC. The thing is like initially I started the thing is like, okay, I just want to put everything from everything I know in one deck, just so I have it. So I thought through the whole thing, and I have my own conclusions, what I learned during YC and before YC. And then just for fun, I had like first webinar uh, with founders from Eastern Europe, just just to share information, just for fun. And then it just happened that, oh, that's actually a good thing to share with everyone else on LinkedIn. So I like it a lot because it's actually a lot of work was done before. But the most popular post is actually from the previous week. It's like the post were about like how we tried to apply in YC many times. We're failing, and then we got into YC. I don't know why this one went so viral, but we have like more than 2.5 million views, I guess, in a week, maybe a little more. So it's just like, yeah, this one went crazy.
I think it probably resonates with a lot of people because they're all thinking, I want to start a company, but I got rejected from YC, or I don't even want to apply to YC because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like the things like the cool thing like with LinkedIn, it's like initially we just saw our team saw similar post on someone else. I mean, like the same template, I would say. Like I was trying to do X many times, I failed, and then I succeeded. And we saw that like looks like there are many people who resonate with us. And we were trying to apply lots of time to YC. Let's do the same thing with YC. And actually that worked. Uh, I was also trying to post like on X, but LinkedIn X like a little bit different. For some reason, like LinkedIn goes so much easier.
Awesome. I guess I got more questions. I have more. I want to share the air.
Go for it, Daniel.
It seems like so you went through YC. It looks like you had some investors interested before you actually got to demo day.
The thing is, like right now, it's crazy in terms of I think every year, every investor understand that all right, waste demo day will be too late. So they starting reaching out to you, even like in our case, it was I don't remember the month, like March or something like that. It's like demo day, and investors actually find you like in December or January. So it's like way like a few months early before the demo day. I guess like we got like main interest like way before the demo day. We closed our round 2 weeks before the demo day.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So
And
like
so,
fast demo day was kind of like, okay, yeah, let's just show up. That's tradition. So
oh wow, so
yeah.
you did demo day and didn't raise any money on demo day.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And actually we got some new inbounds after demo day, but not so many. So the main majority we got was before demo day, way before demo day, because like we were starting scheduling calls closer to demo day. And yeah, we had like many calls. We had like 80 calls in 2 weeks actually.
Wow.
That's a good momentum when you have 80 calls in 2 weeks. But once again, it's really hard to do without like YC. So YC helped a lot here.
Were there investors you said no to? You don't have to name names, but were there investors you said no to for like any reason? Were there investors you were super excited about for some reason?
Yeah, we do have such investors. I will say actually, I'm surprised, but I do like more like angels in these terms because like some angels, for example, we have angel from Japan. He's pretty famous there. He has lots of followers also on LinkedIn, and he know everyone in Japan. So and like Japan is like really nice market for us too. So he can actually bring value. He already like uh, made like a few important like in productive interests and so on. But there are also some funds who are kind of like invest in lots of different things. So probably you can come to them and ask something specific. But what in our experience, angels were more proactive. Even I even if like I didn't ask for anything, but they reach out and some of them reach out and hey, like I talked to someone to ask they can help with the why. Like let's get a call if you need this. So that's really nice.
Were you picky with your investors in any way? Like who you took as an investor? Were there
So in our case, like Wesley told us like, hey, like nice investors is good, but many of them like no value. Just like they're just telling that they're adding more value, but not everyone like that. So
yes.
mainly like focus. focus on closing the round and actually building the product, building the traction. So in these terms, we're more focusing on that. So we kind of like we close this first mill in 1 week, and actually we're thinking about like maybe not to raise more and just actually to close and just come back to building. But we decided because like we already had so many calls scheduled for the next week, probably doesn't make sense to cancel all of them and actually to talk and raise another one. So we were just kind of like closing checks in the order they come. It was one of the mistakes I should have done like before we see in back to Europe. It's like when I have like some offers and I was kind of like picky which one I should go with, and I was just like time was passing and actually I was losing the momentum, that doesn't help.
So momentum is really important, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
strike while the iron's hot, and may not be make a decision quick,
Yeah,
is what you're
as an
saying.
example, as an example, someone say, "Hey, yeah, Yurii, I want to invest in your company, right?" And you say, "Okay, let me think about it." And then you think, "Okay, I will. That's a good investor, but probably I will find someone better, actually." And you spend some time finding them out, finding them. If it doesn't go well, you kind of come back and say, "Hey, like I'm ready to take your money." And if it's like a month, as an example, if it's like a month has passed, they will ask like, "Oh, who else on the board?" Like, and you can actually they say, "Oh, you haven't raised anything in a month. Probably we don't want to invest anymore." And also
Awesome.
another funny thing that I started that I had, but once again, probably it's not the best investors you want to have. It's like the case when they say, "Hey, your valuation is high." It's again before we see your valuation is high enough, and then you suggest like lower valuation, they still refuse. And after even like after we see, like when we got into VC, that's already a hype train. So there are some investors that will never invest because it's like it's not enough. So we had a case like, "Hey, we will be super interested to invest when you have nice funds in the round," and then we close these funds, make our valuation higher, and it's already hype train. So so probably if they like someone doesn't want to invest, like just assume that it's no, and that's it. That's fine, totally fine. That's why you need so many leads. You don't need to run for everyone.
Options are good, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Options. So like talking to a lot of investors.
You're in strong position if you have many like investors who is interested and you feel super comfortable to refuse or just like to pass investors.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think everybody on the podcast should like at least check out Get Fluently and just click the try Fluently for free button, the big blue button on their website,
Yeah.
just to see what it's like. And if you're not a native speaker of American native speaker, I think it's like a no-brainer, honestly, to try it out. But thank you again for being on the
Thank
podcast.
you.
I think this was
Thank you
really,
for having me.
really, really awesome.